And meanwhile, as we talk, people stream across the border, cut in line illegally, and they wonder why someone like you or your brother are frustrated by that. Like, legal immigrants do not support illegal immigration.
You were exactly right. Like, so I got married in 2020. Obviously, they weren't able to come to that. And when my son was born, they were able to come to that. So my in-laws family, they are they're born and raised Pittsburgh families, and they hold considerable values and stuff. But even all of them are so frustrated, and they were like, well, "Can we do something? Can we write a letter?" I'm like, "You can do all that, but I don't think it's going to make a difference unless one of you guys run for the federal office and win that office. Then I might be able to get an answer."
Americans are capable of achieving extraordinary things when they have the freedom and opportunity to do so. This is American Potential. And here's your host, Jeff Crank.
Well, thanks for joining us for another episode of American Potential. Have you ever paused to consider what your American dream looks like? Do you believe you're on your way to achieving that dream? For some, the American dream means having the freedom and opportunity to succeed or fail on their own terms. And according to the dictionary, the American dream is, quote, a happy way of living that is thought of by many Americans as something that can be achieved by anyone in the U.S., especially through hard work and success, unquote. Well, today's guest exemplifies the pursuit of the American dream. He's an immigrant from India, and he once worked 2 full-time jobs and a part-time job for several years. He came to America seeking a career path different from his family's, and now he owns multiple businesses, which is helping to provide others a chance to pursue their own version of the American dream. I want to welcome Manny Singh to the show to share his story. Manny, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Jeff.
So let's talk about your family and your time growing up in India. Give us some of the background on your family and what was it like growing up in India?
So I was born in India in 1985. Growing up was way different over there than a lot of people think when it goes over here. It was fun. We were from a very small town. Everybody knows everybody. So we have that next door neighbor feel in our everyday life. So it was pretty great. Like the family, from being from a small town, I love that.
Yeah. How about your family?
I have a big family actually, over there. My mom, my dad, I have a brother and a sister, then way extended family. Everybody lived pretty much in the same town, not too far from each other. So great family values and always being there for each other.
So let's talk about India. I mean, obviously, most of the people listening to this podcast didn't grow up in India. So what would you say is different growing up in India than growing up in the United States?
The difference, which I can speak from my perspective, being from a small town in India, we didn't have that many freedoms and that much of the opportunity. So, we were in a very closed-knit communities, but there wasn't that much opportunity to grow in there. Everybody was there, but the people can't really express themselves freely without being judged, which is way different than over here in America, that you can actually have the freedom of speech and able to say what you want to say and not be afraid of getting reprimanded just by a normal person every single day.
And let's, for Americans who don't, that's foreign to them. They don't understand that you might be reprimanded. Who would reprimand you in India? Would it be the government or would it be neighbors or?
Actually, both. It would be from the neighbor, if you don't agree with anybody, you have to follow a very similar path of everything that's been told to you, that you cannot question that I want to go on a different path or I want to do something different than what's I've been told. So that's how I grew up. My family was a little bit more open-minded. That's why I was able to leave and study overseas. But majority of the people there, they are very that goes on the path what's been told to them.
Yeah. You talked about less opportunity. Talk about that. What is opportunity here in the United States versus maybe what you didn't have in India?
So when I talk about opportunity in India, for example, A, with the population, and B, also in the corruption and everything, if you don't know, it's not like, what do you know over there? Over there was who you know. In US, at least, like, if you hard work, you have the way to get ahead. Like, I'm the prime example of it, and I see a lot of people here that who work hard, they get the success in America. That's why so many people from all around the world always want to come to US.
Yeah. That's a great point, Manny. It's something that when we talk about freedom and opportunity in the United States, I think, that's something we take for granted. Like, you could literally be in America and not know a single politician, but you can still succeed. You can have a business that succeeds and, does well, those sorts of things. You might have to deal with government to get a permit here and there, but you don't have to be best friends with the mayor or be on the in crowd or give the ruling party money or any of that to succeed. I think we take that for granted in the United States, don't you?
You are exactly right. It's just more of like, when you say like to deal with the government to get the permits or anything, that's more of following the law, trying to get like that you're doing the right thing, but you don't get pressured into or differentiated based on your color or based on where you came from. Like, the things are very transparent, at least in my view, I have seen. A lot of people are afraid just to ask the question. Like, but if you ask the question, 9 out of 10 people will give you an answer and actually help you succeed. That's what I have learned my 20 years being here.
Yeah, it's something that I do think we take for granted. There's certainly corruption in politics in the United States, but not to the degree as there is in many other countries. I often think of, people who travel to Mexico and they just say, boy, you better hope you never get thrown in jail in Mexico because you got to pay your way out, or, you can pay to not get thrown in jail there. I mean, these are just things that, again, I think Americans, we take it for granted because we don't have those sorts of things. If that happened in the United States, I mean, you could go to law enforcement and that law enforcement person who did that to you would probably be investigated. It's just something that's interesting that I think we take for granted here.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I do talk like to my friends here. I was like, over here, just like the most simple example is if you are driving on the highway and your car breaks down and you go to the side of the road and a cop pull behind you, you feel sigh of relief. Okay, somebody's here to help me. And if you go to the flip side in India, like if a cop pulls behind you, you're gonna be like, oh, I'm like gonna have a problem because of the corruption and stuff. They will try, especially if they know that you are somebody who has money or something, they will try to absorb the money out of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Well, let's talk about when you left India and you wanted to pursue your dreams. You went to Ireland to study. Why did you decide to go to Ireland?
So I went to Ireland from there because actually at that time, a lot of my college friends and stuff, that's the path they were choosing. So we went to Ireland together. I had 2 or 3 other my classmates and stuff. They went to a university. I chose a different university there as compared to them, which was affiliated to U.S. And I always wanted to come to U.S., but I figured like, well, I'll choose that university so that way I can see what the American side of the education look like.
Let me ask you a quick follow-up to that. You said you always wanted to come to the U.S. Why? What was it that you thought about the United States? And I ask this question because Americans see America from within. We don't often see it from outside. Why did you want to come to America?
So I have seen like a lot of people, like growing up, I used to watch like a lot of TV and I was more open to seeing international shows and everything. And there was people in around towns who actually were in the U.S. compared to any other countries and stuff. And I always seen the people who has more success here in the U.S. and the way they talk about it, and how if you go after your dreams here, you have more chances of success than anywhere else in the world. So that's my
Right.
main thing. Well, because my dad has a business back home, I just didn't want it to be in the family business because that's not my biggest strength in what business he does. So I wanted to do something different from it. And yes, they were open-minded on that kind of stuff, but I wouldn't have never been able to pursue something different because of the society norm and everything. I would have been forced into to do that business.
All right. So you went to Ireland and you're studying in Ireland. How were you able to come to America through the college that you were attending in Ireland?
So when I was there, I did my associate degree for 2 years, and I had a pretty good GPA because, again, like when I left India, my English wasn't that great, so I kind of had to learn that while I was in Ireland and studying that, and while doing that, with the help of one of the professors there, who was like she was really great and were praised, and she actually helped me practice on the English outside of my classes, and my GPA was pretty good. To do the degree, she's the one who actually said, hey, like, you want to try to apply for Lynn University, which they were affiliated down in Florida, to see if you get in since you are a good student and you'll be able to get in from there. So that's how I applied for Lynn University, and I was accepted. And that's how I ended up in Florida.
So, I mean, all along you had tried to figure a way to get to the United
Yes.
States, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So you came to America legally. And what do you think of people who come to the United States illegally?
Actually, I have like this discussion with a lot of people, like when it comes to immigration, like, 95% of people say, oh, if you want to do the thing legally. And I'm like, yes, like I went through all the legal channels, but a lot of people don't understand how messed up our legal channels are, like in a lot of ways and everything. So people who come in legally doesn't make anything better. It's only making that worse for the people who are trying to come here legally and trying to come through all the proper channels, because it kind of put such a strain on our system that the people who are trying to come legally keep on getting pushed back. And I have prime example of that with my own family.
Yeah, I mean, I think I talked to somebody just yesterday about this, and I do think that people who are here legally, who come to the United States legally, really do get offended by people who are coming illegally, because it does make it harder for people to come legally. And, people who come legally want to maybe bring family over, but they go through the legal process and it takes longer because people are essentially cutting in line illegally, right?
Oh, exactly. Like I'm a prime example of that, because I did everything legally, and then I applied, which a lot of people, I can bet you in America, when I talk to them, has no idea. I applied for my brother and my sister to bring them here legally. And if I usually ask them, I said, hey, if I have to give you a guess, how many years do you think it take for that application process to go through? And I haven't met a single person who can guess that answer correctly till this day.
And what is the answer?
18 years.
18 years. And that's incredible. And see, these are the people that we should want here in the United States, people who are willing to obey the law for 18 years so that they can come to the United States. Those are people that truly want to come and contribute to the United States, as opposed to people who sort of just cut in line and decide, they're going to get here no matter what, because they're more important than the rule of law.
You're exactly right. And they're like, when, as I said, like, people like talking about legal to illegal thing, there's more of a caveat on it on top of that. So I have a 19-month at my home and a 4-month-old child. And my brother, he lives in India. My mom and dad travel because, it's easier for a little bit for the parents as compared to the families. My sister moved to Canada, so that was easy. So only people who haven't met my kid yet is my brother. And the only way he'll be able to meet is if I take my kid over there. Because here's the more messed up part when you do it legally is now when he go to apply at the U.S. Embassy in a legal way, they deny him because he's in a so-called applied status. And the government like don't allow him a tourist visa because they think, well, oh, he might not leave. And that's why I say like it's actually like a messed up system in overall, because okay, so you're letting somebody come in through the border, which you have no information on, no nothing. Here you have all the information on me, who has applied for that person, all the guarantees, everything. Then this my person is applying legally, coming to you and saying, hey, I want to go see my brother kids. And you are more afraid that, okay, he's going to stay. Okay, if I give them a benefit of a doubt for a minute, okay, yeah, he stays here, like, you know, which he won't. But even if he does, you have more information on him than the people you're letting in illegally.
Yeah, and that is crazy. I had no idea that was part of the law, that they won't, if you've applied, they're worried that you're going to stay. I mean, you're at least applying and going legally asking to come to the United States. It's crazy.
Yes. So that's why I say, like, so it's just like the biggest thing is that my son is about to be 2, and I have to like take them there, which again, like, I know where they are, like, you know, but it's basic thing is I want to be careful with my kids as well, so they don't get sick or anything. So I was waiting for certain age to take them over there as well. But that's kind of tried, you know, the thing where my brother cannot or his family cannot meet them for maybe first 2 or 3 years of their life, just because they're under so-called applied status. Wow,
that's eye-opening. I just didn't know that they would do that. That immigration enforcement would do that. Let me ask you: what was there about America that surprised you when you first came to the United States? Was there anything that really shocked you or surprised you?
Oh yeah, a lot of things.
I love asking this question of people who came here. But give us the answer.
So the biggest thing that surprised me, like, was metric system. The very first thing when I got here, because I remember from the airport going to the college campus, and we were talking about how hot it gets in Florida, and he was talking like, you know, it gets to 90, 95, and I'm used to in India like 45 is so hot. How the hell you live at 90 degrees? But then it made me realize, hold on, like that's the different temperature thing here.
Sure.
The other thing that surprised me the most was the openness of the people and the willingness of the people to help each other. And they didn't care of what you look like or where you came from. It's just more like openness and welcoming thing that actually did surprise me a lot.
And that's good to hear from someone who, you know, came from another country, comes to the United States and feels that way. Because again, we sometimes beat ourselves up as Americans about, we certainly slavery, which was a terrible thing and a blight on our history. We weren't the only country that had slavery. Slavery was a worldwide problem. It still is in many places, unfortunately. But we beat ourselves up sometime introspectively looking at ourselves and our history. And so it's always refreshing to hear someone who comes here from somewhere else and says, oh, no, actually, Americans seem very welcoming, very willing to help. I think that's one of the great things about America is we don't rely on government to help us for everything. We rely on nonprofits and churches and others to help citizens. And to me, that's one of the unique, maybe not totally unique, but one of the more unique aspects of America.
Yeah, definitely. Like the thing is, a lot of people do beat themselves over something that happened like 100 years ago or 50 years ago. Again, that time has passed. That was, like you said, was a normal world phenomenon. That wasn't just only to us. But only thing is, when you come in, I do understand the perspective of when you come in and you want to be somewhere, you need to learn how to assimilate with that population. Yes, you want to like keep your traditions and you want to keep your beliefs and everything, and I'm totally fine with that, but you cannot just simply say, well, I want to live exactly how I lived back home, but also I want to have all the benefits of here. And if that's the case, then there's a reason you left your country into it.
Right.
You know, I'm not saying to give up your beliefs or, like I said, any of that stuff, but you do need to kind of assimilate with the country you are in and follow their laws.
When I ask what what surprised them the most. I mean, I'll just tell you some of the things that I hear, and it'd be interesting because I honestly, I don't know that I've ever asked anyone on this show who came from India. Usually it's Central America or many of those places. And one of the things I hear a lot is the lights, the city lights. Someone flew into Miami. They just couldn't believe all of the lights and the electricity in the United States. But I've also heard, man, the first time I went into Walmart and I saw all the choices on the shelf, you know, it wasn't just like one kind of spaghetti sauce. It was 50 kinds of spaghetti sauce. I mean, do those things sort of surprise you too when you came to the United States?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I remember like when I was in Florida, because again, I came in as that kind of shock came in a little bit later in my life. Because in the beginning, like I just went to college, I didn't know much about it. But when I got out, and the very first time I went to Times Square, like I was stunned. And definitely with the choices and stuff, like we definitely get a lot more choices here, which is nowhere in no other part of the world. And right now I do travel a lot as well outside of US, go to like Europe and like obviously India, like in those countries, and move into Paris, Paris, Greece, and Italy. You don't get anything even like remotely close to what we have here, for sure. And that's true. Definitely, a lot of people have culture shock when my parents came in the very first time. Even the central AC in the house was kind of surprising to them. That was a little bit less of a shock for me because that was very similar to what was in Ireland. So I got that shock over there before I got to US. So, but when they came to US the very first time, even that was kind of shock to them.
Yeah, see, and that's a great example of something Americans just take for granted. Most places in the world don't have central air conditioning in a person's home. That's crazy. And it's just commonplace in America. So we just kind of expect it. So that's a great example of it. How'd you end up working 2 full-time jobs and a part-time job all at the same time?
I was very determined that I needed to do something and get ahead, because my thing was like, obviously not just being from India in general, like I knew like when I crossed a certain age of 27, 28, I'm going to get like a big pressure from my family to, okay, you need to get married, you need to do this, like, you need to have kids. And I always had a goal that before I get married, I want to make my life into that I am there for my kids. Because in India, like it's very common that mother is the caretaker for the children, and dad is the one who provides financial, which is similar thing which I do here, but I wanted to be there for my kids as well, that to know who their dad is. Like me and my dad didn't have an actual heart-to-heart conversation till my 20s. And I didn't want to live my life that. So I was going to college. So I used to have college from 8 to 12. And then I had a job, like, from 1 till like 6 p.m. And then I go to sleep. And then I have another job from 11 till 7 in the morning. After I finish that, I go down to college again to be able to do that. So it was like more of a determination. And B, when I met a lot of people, everybody was that more successful than I was at that time. And I always looked up and I just wanted to be like, okay, I need to get ahead in my life. And I know in America you can do that. So I put my heart and soul into it, like to get to that point.
So when did you decide you wanted to open a business?
I started like in 2012. I came to US in 2005. So 2012 was the very first one when I wanted to start the business. I went into a partnership with somebody, but I also kept my job with it at that time because I wasn't sure which direction it's going to go in. So I used to do the business from 6 in the morning till like 5 p.m. and start my job at 6 p.m. at night till 2 a.m. just to be sure and I didn't let that go until maybe 2013 when I started expanding in the business.
Yeah, a lot of hard work.
But yeah, that's the key, and that's, I think, what people have lost today. Everybody wants everything so easy nowadays,
Right.
and that's why, like, I tell people, I was like, I don't understand the fact is how people don't see all these great opportunities right in front of them. If they put in hard work, there's always the reward in the end, and that's all that happened in this country.
Right. Let's talk about getting your citizenship. What was that process like for you?
I would just tell usually people, like, when I got my citizenship and I have to go through the citizenship test,
Yeah.
it's actually like very eye-opening for you, like when you have to, and the questions they ask, if you ask like majority of the people here, they will never fail. You know, like a lot of people like don't know like what the three branches of government are, like
Right.
and Senate, like any of that stuff, and they give you 100 questions which you have to go through, and then you have to get 7 of them right. When they ask you 10, and you have to get 7 of them right at that time, unless it will change. Then I'm talking from like 14 years ago.
Right.
A lot of people don't understand, but it was fun process. Again, like the people were really helping for me to get through with that and everything. A lot of my friends and colleagues threw me a big party after I actually passed my citizenship test. So yeah, it was fun. Eye-opening.
Yeah, I have a friend who took, she's from Norway. She took the test and she was very upset because she studied all 100 questions. She knew them very well. And she walked in and was like, I'm going to get 100%. I'm going to get every question right. And they only asked her like 7 or something like that. She was very upset. She got them all right, but she was very upset they didn't ask her 100. She wanted to score a perfect score.
Well, yeah, they don't tell you like until you walk in that how many they're gonna ask.
Right.
Like usually, like they just like tell you, okay, you need to know the answer to all these 100 questions. I think it's more of they want to like see that you are actually trying to be a part of the country and the culture here. And do you have the working knowledge of how the U.S. work?
And it's great too. I've talked to a lot of immigrants who, after they sort of learn, they realize what a wonderful system our founding fathers designed, with checks and balances and separation of powers and all of that to prevent us from, ever having a king again, for instance. And so, it's really amazing. And I really do think there's probably many immigrants probably know more about that if they come here legally, going through that process than some of our own citizens, as you kind of alluded. So,
but yeah, definitely, because like that was like one of the things you need to know, like I said earlier, that the country you're planning on staying in, you need to know the culture. You need to know about it. You cannot just want to be, okay, this is what I know, this is what I used to do, but I do want to reap all the benefits here. I don't think that's fair, because if that's the case, then why did you come here in the first place?
Now, you alluded to this, talked about it, the 18 years, but after you got your citizenship, you applied for your family to get theirs. Talk about the snag you ran into for your brother.
Like, I have applied for them in 2012 after I became the citizen. And we got all the paperwork in, whatever they asked for. I still have the U.S. number. So since then until now, like, they're still processing the cases from 2006. Obviously, COVID had a big, effect on that as well, because that kind of pushed, because it used to be 12 to 13 years, now it's up to 18 years. But since then, my brother has been appealed 7 different times to apply for visa, and I have actually some people willing to sign the letter of guarantee and everything. And another thing which a lot of people don't understand is, if you go to apply in the U.S. Embassy outside of the U.S. anywhere, once they refuse you or give you the visa, you are not allowed to question them what caused their decision. So we don't even know what exactly is causing. But from reading online and everything, that's the reason we thought, is causing it. only person who can question them is anybody in the federal government, like, your federal congressman or federal senator or the president. I don't know any of them, so I can never get an answer like on what's causing it. But we literally have the paperwork is not easy like to fill up for all of that. So because you give one wrong paperwork and the whole thing derails. So we did all that correctly. It's just a matter of waiting, and they're gonna come another problem by the time the visas come available. All of his kids are they're gonna be over 18, so they can't be able to come here. Then that opened another challenge. Yeah, we'll come here or not.
And meanwhile, as we talked, people stream across the border, cut in line illegally, and they wonder why someone like you or your brother are frustrated by that. Like, legal immigrants do not support illegal immigration. They just don't. And neither does anybody who believes in the rule of law.
You were exactly right. So I got married in 2020. Obviously, they weren't able to come to that. And when my son was born, they were able to come to that. So my in-laws family, they are they're born and raised Pittsburgh families, and they hold considerable values and stuff. But even all of them are so frustrated, and they were like, "Oh, can we do something? Can we write a letter?" You can do all that, but I don't think it's going to make a difference unless one of you guys run for the federal office and win that office. Then I might be able to get an answer.
Well, Manny, do you feel like you've achieved your version of the American dream?
I did.
I guess my last question would be, do you have any warnings, like having come from another country and seen how it is there? Do you have any warnings for America? Have you seen America change over the since you've been here, in maybe not so good ways that you want to warn America that we got to be cautious about X, Y, or Z? Any cautionary moments for us?
Actually, it has, because I think it's a lot of misinformation and a lot of stuff which is out there. Because, as I said, my parents, my mom and dad, they've been traveling here since 2009. I was actually never afraid for them to travel. I used to drop them at the mall and, just let them walk around. My dad is he don't speak really fluent English, but he actually is, he understands what you are saying, but he won't be able to answer you without broken unless you are really paying attention. In the last 4 years, he's been attacked 5 times. 3 times verbally and twice more physically. Luckily, somebody was with him, which was able to stop that. One of them was at my home store. I've been attacked verbally in the last couple of years many times, just because. One time I was, me and my wife Stacey, we were on vacation, and we flew into Boston, and we were driving over to Bar Harbor. So we rented a car, and, we were passing through, I always get this wrong, Connecticut, and I was talking to my brother, and my call kept dropping because of the cell service. So we got on this highway, and then there was a gas station. I pulled into the gas station. So I was like, "Oh, cell service is pretty good." And, let me talk. And I'm just in the parking lot, going back and forth, talking to my brother. And I'm speaking one of the languages in India. And this lady comes out of the store, and I didn't see her. I didn't hear her, nothing. Stacey, she said something, and I turn around, and my wife is in an argument with this lady. I'm like, my wife never gets in an argument with anybody. You just mind her own business and stuff. So this lady got so upset and just brought out, "When you are in America, you better speak English." And Stacey goes "Do you have any idea who he's even talking to? He's talking to somebody from the other side of the world."
Right.
He speaks. But it's just that hatred and misinformation has gone so much. And that's also coming in because we have so many people who are breaking the laws So people are getting frustrated, which I get their side as well, because, like I said, because of the whole illegal migration thing, my legal migration case been pushed back 6 years.
Right. Yeah.
So yes, I'm frustrated with that. So I can only imagine when people are coming into town and they're not really assimilating with you, how frustrated you will get.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's right. Those are great cautions. Crime is a growing problem in the United States. We all see that. And, politicians, quite frankly, have failed to deal with it in a lot of ways. So, well, Manny, thank you for telling us your American story. It's really quite amazing. And again, I love to hear folks come on and tell their story, because I think it renews our faith and our understanding of what a great country we live in the United States. So thanks for being with us.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for having me. And it's definitely a great country, and we need to do everything to make sure we keep it great.
All right. Well, listen, see, Manny's the kind of person we want in the United States. What a productive, came here with the idea of being successful. He didn't come here to take from America. He came here knowing that America offered an opportunity for him to be able to become the potential that he saw in himself. Of course, this podcast named American Potential, and rightly so. We see stories like this all the time. I appreciate Manny taking the time to join us today and telling his story. Look, American Potential podcast, always working on stories like Manny's to help keep you inspired and informed. And the best way to stay connected with us is by liking and subscribing to our channel, as well as following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And if you know of a great story of someone that's working to expand freedom or opportunities that we should share, be sure to go to our website, AmericanPotential.com, and fill out our Share Your Story section. Thanks for being with us for this great episode of American Potential.
Thank you for listening to American Potential. You may listen to more stories from Americans working every day to expand freedom and opportunity in their communities by visiting AmericanPotential.com.